Steve Schnall and Jeff Schemmel with the AD Update, and we'll start with where you were. It was Obama most recently, but before then you were in Washington, D.C.
We were.
And tell us about the NCAA meetings and what was pertinent that came up there.
NCAA Convention in Washington, D.C., which was kind of fun to be around. All the excitement leading right up to our convention lasted till Sunday, and obviously Barack Obama became our new president on Tuesday. So it was pretty exciting to be around all that was going on. The bad part was the cold front hit, and I think the wind chill factor was about 30 below the first night we were there.
The NCAA needs to do a much better job of figuring out the location.
That's for sure. That's for sure. But it was an interesting meeting, as they all are with the NCAA. I think some things that were talked about a lot. Men's basketball's proposal, which passed, that now defines a prospect. Currently, we define a prospect as someone who's in the 9th grade or older. And now in men's basketball, we've redefined a prospect as one who's in the 7th grade or older. And that's really a response to the proliferation of recruiting that's happening at, unbelievably, Steve, at that level, 7th and 8th grade.
That decision?
I do agree with it. I think it's the only answer we have right now to some of the abuses that are taking place with recruiting of kids in the 7th and 8th grade. And now you're hearing about kids that age committing to an institution, which is just wrong. I can't even believe we're talking about it at this point in time. But legislation is always in response to somebody trying to take advantage of something or someone, and that's what happened here in men's basketball. And I hope we can someday repeal this because I think we need to get smarter about how we regulate the recruiting that's going on.
Let's talk a little bit about the whole BCS thing, which always rears its head every time that there is the championship talk. And this year you had a Utah team in our conference that had a spectacular year and trounces Alabama and doesn't have a chance to win the championship.
Well, I think the first thing you do is congratulate. Our hats are off to the University of Utah and the job that they did this year. And to watch that Sugar Bowl game and to see how they really, from the start of that game, dismantled Alabama was prideful for all of us in this conference to see what they can do. They were the better football team. They were better than Alabama, and Alabama happened to be #1 a lot of this year. So I know this, if I had a vote, which I don't, I sure as heck would have voted Utah #1. I just think
but we're all competitive, and we all would like to have an actual champion rather than a philosophical one.
True.
And we're in a conference that doesn't necessarily benefit at all from the scenario that exists now. So you and the other 8 athletic directors in our conference, what are the things that are discussed in that realm to change that dynamic?
Well, I think that there is a formula now where the Mountain West Conference actually can, over a period of 4 years, earn an automatic qualifying berth. And obviously the Mountain West's success this year, not just Utah, but TCU and BYU and Colorado State and all those other teams that went to bowl games, that success, this was the first year that the formula, the Mountain West formula, actually jumped us over both the ACC and the Big East. Mm-hmm. And now if we can continue that for a period of years, we can actually wrestle that automatic berth from those conferences. And I guarantee you they're watching. They're noticing what the Mountain West is doing. And I think that should be our immediate goal, is to let's go get ourselves an automatic qualifying berth in the BCS, and then the rest will take care of itself. There's always a cry for a playoff, and I just think there are so many difficulties with that. How many teams, and how do you incorporate it into the current bowl system, and all those sorts of things. I think we all want a champion that is determined by some process that's objective, and everybody, much like everything else. The NFL,
sure.
our major college basketball does it that way. So I think we'd all like to get there, but we have to figure out how to do that.
You mentioned major college basketball, of which our men's and women's teams are both a part of, and very big week for both of them at home. The men against New Mexico and the women against BYU. Two very big basketball games.
Two big games, and I think in both cases the Mountain West Conference championship title is up for grabs. You can see the men's. Everybody's already got one loss, and I think you got to hold serve at home, and you got to win some road games to be the champion. And I think both the men's and the women's teams have the opportunity to do that. I think we've seen now what they can do. Both teams, I think, will be contending. I don't think there's any question about that we'll be contending, and it's going to be whether our men's team and our women's team can win a couple of great road games and hold serve at home, and I like their chances.
A little football update. When last we spoke, basically most of the staff had been hired, but since then Brian Sipe is announced as the quarterback's coach. Really, in some ways, an unbelievable development, and really put the capper on a great staff that's been hired by Coach Hoke.
Well, we just think this staff is spectacular that Brady has put together. Whether you talk about the coordinators or you talk about the latest one, Brian Sipe, I think Brian. I think everyone knows Brian's track record, both as a quarterback and a coach, and what a lot of people don't know is he is such an unbelievable Aztec who cares and loves for this university very, very much. And I think that's fun for us to see, to have an Aztec come back and have it be Brian Sipe, no less, to coach quarterbacks, no less. I can't wait to watch first practice, to tell you the truth.
He must have been very impressed when he was on the committee to see what was going on, and then after Coach Hoke is hired, saying it might be a good idea to be part of this thing.
You know what? I think that was a mutual thing. I think Brady Hoke was very impressed with Brian Sipe on that committee because Brian talked, espoused, I think, some of the good things about San Diego State and what people thought. And I think the reverse was true. Brian was very impressed with Brady Hoke and how he presented himself and impressed the committee. So. To say I wasn't surprised that this happened, but certainly very excited and pleased.
Jeff, thanks again.
Thank you, Steve.